going on, guys? Alex here with 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the Steel Will Spica. I'm not technically sure if it's pronounced Spica or Spica. I don't know which one sounds better, but we'll say the Spica. That's what sounds better in my head, I guess, now that I think about it. But this is coming to me courtesy of the Apex Passaround group, and I've had this for a little bit longer than I technically should have. Like I said, just due to me being sick and having a very hectic, life kind of going on. So I talked to David, and I apologize for having the knife for a little bit longer than we normally keep them, and I'm getting the review out to you guys today. So like I said, this is the Spica. See, my brain can't think today, guys. The Spica, and I think this is a newer model for Steel Will as of December, I think, right when these came out. I'm pretty sure that they sent them to the group, and the group got this one, which has this sort of dark gray with a hint of blue aluminum body, and then they also got a red bodied one as well. But this is the one I got in. So I kind of have a mixed bag of emotions about this knife. There's definitely some things that I like about it, but there's definitely some things that I'm not a huge fan of. But we'll get to them. We'll go through the certain categories that I like to work through and stuff like that. So jumping right into materials, I guess we'll just get started. This does have, like I said, this aluminum frame that is, it's like a dark gray, but it definitely has a hint of blue to it. I do like the color. I think it looks nice. You have, for a pop of color, some red backspacers here, or standoffs. You have a loop over style deep carry clip that goes technically past the butt end of the knife. That's one thing that I'm not a huge fan of, is this clip specifically. It is a flipper for deployment. You have any milling? No, there's no milling at all going on, so there's no skeletonizing of anything in the scales. But this being aluminum, it's super, I don't want to say super lightweight, but it's definitely lightweight for a knife of this size. It's almost a 3.5-inch blade. But aluminum tends to be, relatively lightweight for the most part. The scales, you only have one scale, which is a liner lock here, which has some jipping on it. This knife doesn't have any blade play, so there's no, sometimes when you only have a knife with one scale and you're missing the other one, or they don't put it in the knife, it can kind of compromise, your strength of your pivot and stuff like that. But this is rock solid. The blade steel is 154 cm right here. I almost said CPM 154, but very, very similar. I believe the F44 is the model number. There is the Steel Will logo, and it has a very elongated blade shape, kind of a trailing point. Siri always likes to talk to me when I'm doing videos, but kind of a trailing point, almost has a little bit of a harpoon shape too. I don't even know what you would technically qualify this as, but the flat, or the grind is almost flat full, but you have a little bit of swedge right here. It's relatively thin behind the edge. The stock itself is pretty thin too, so you can definitely do some nice slicing with this knife. Has a stone wash, which I think looks really good. I much prefer a stone wash to, say, like a bead blast or something like that. But yeah, I don't think I missed anything for materials. I'll just leave my lid off because I'm sure I'm going to take another drink of water during this video, guys. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I didn't miss any other materials or anything like that. Bearings, I'm pretty sure I said that, but if I didn't, it's on bearings. And yeah, we'll move right into action. So the action is actually, excuse me, one of the things that I really, really like about this knife. So if you take the flipper tab here, you can see that it's kind of angled forward, and it has some jipping up top here. And to me, I get a really good purchase on here, and it's a very snappy flipper. The action it flies right out of there. It's very hard to, you can get it to fail, but you really have to. That was a good one, actually, but you push it just a little bit, it's gonna come right out of there. Just very snappy, very responsive, and it has, to me, it kind of has a good sound to it. But yeah, just very, very. I keep saying the word snappy, but that's just what comes to mind. It's very smooth on open. It's very responsive. Now on close, you just move the liner lock out of the way, and it's smooth. It's definitely not drop shut by any means. You can shake it down, or normally it hits your nail. Kinda, I mean, a lot of the times when I go to like pull back to like shake it, it gets enough pressure and drops kind of, or starts to drop before you even like bring it back forward again, if that makes sense to you guys. But so I mean, it's the action is smooth, and not every knife has to be super drop shut. It doesn't have to just guillotine, fall back into place. So I do like the action. That I think is probably my favorite part about this knife is, it's very fun to fidget with for being a flipper only knife. So opening action is really good. Closing action, while not drop shut, it's still very, very smooth, very glassy feeling. I mean, there's basically no friction at all in here that I can feel. It's very, very smooth. So action is good, guys. I think that's a huge A+ for this knife. So moving on to ergos. Ergos for me are also very good too, because like I said, this is kind of an elongated knife. It's nice and long and kind of slim, but as you can see, you have a groove here, and then it kind of tapers off to the back, while up here it's all kind of just this one hump, and then it trails off as well. You do have jimping up top here. So when I'm choked back, you also have a choil, that we'll get to that. So when you're choked back, my hand feels very, very comfortable. I kind of just fall, my pointer finger falls right in here, my middle finger falls in sort of the second crevice, and then my last two fingers just kind of chill back here on where it starts to taper off. And then it's comfortable. It's a very slim knife. It's a very, smooth knife. That is one thing I will say about the aluminum that I don't like. While it does feel good to touch, it is a little slippery. It's a little slick. I feel like they could have maybe roughed it up a little bit or added a little bit of a texture to it in order to, have a better grip. Because sometimes, especially when this knife gets cold, is something that I've really noticed, which I've had it with me a few times, and I've there was a couple times where I was flicking it in the car and I had to run into a store somewhere really, really quick, and I happened to just, I was in a hurry, so I happened to just leave it in the car like once or twice. When I came back out, the aluminum was so cold, it was just like almost not frozen, but it felt like it was kind of frozen just because it was so slippery in the hands. So that is one thing that I'm not a fan of, is how slick it is. While it does feel good, it has a cool feeling to it for your fingertips. When it comes to a knife and gripping the knife and stuff like that, I feel like there definitely could have been a little bit of more texture on here. So, and I'm sure there are people that will disagree with me on that and that prefer to have, more comfortable, sleeker handles or sleeker scales to grab onto. But, to each their own. There's no right or wrong. I don't think so. It's just what you prefer. But back to hand placement. Then when you choke up here with kind of this little, it's like a partial choil, but I can definitely, use it if you're doing very light, very fine work, and very, you have to be precise with your cuts. Excuse me. I've had this issue the last couple of times I'm filming where I don't know if it's because I took so long off from filming and I'm just not used to it yet, or a bottle of water is a necessity for me filming, and I've always been that way. So just got a text message from my girlfriend. I gotta make dinner tonight, so we gotta bang out the rest of these videos. But yeah, choil, okay. I'm definitely not the best, but it's usable. I feel like if you have smaller fingers and skinnier fingers, it would work better. The bigger and chunkier your fingers are, because my hand's not huge by any means, but like my girlfriend's hands might have a better grip because they can kind of wrap around a little bit better. But yeah, ergos are good and bad. They, how your hand fits on the knife is good. These scales aren't the best, so that's kind of a down point for me. But yeah, so next we are going to move on to carry. And I said earlier in the beginning of the video, I wasn't a huge fan of this pocket clip, as my watch doesn't turn off. But I don't think that there's enough clearance under there, and I don't know. It doesn't look necessarily bad to me because it's kind of, it goes with the curvature of the knife, and it's, I don't know. I don't love it. It's to me, it's like they tried making they like took a wire clip and they took a normal, aluminum or a normal steel or titanium clip and tried making a baby out of it. Because I can see, kind of wire clip tendencies in there, and I can also see normal clip tendencies in there. And I'm just not a huge fan of it. The retention isn't bad, but again, with that smooth titanium, it's very easy in and out of the pocket. But if you have thick pants with like a thick seam on the pockets, you might have a little trouble for popping it over there. It is unique how they mounted it kind of off to the side. That makes it very easy for when you're maintaining your knives. You don't have to like fight through the hole or anything like that. So that's kind of cool. And I do like that it goes, almost a little bit deeper than the knife. I do tend to like when knives do that because it just really disappears down in there. So I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of how it looks because I feel like I said, it's a mixture of like a wire clip and a normal loop over style clip. So, but for in your pants, it's not bad. Like I said, the aluminum is so slick, so all this is nicely contoured. There's no sharp edges. When it sits in your pocket, the only thing you have to watch out for is the flipper tab down here. But I feel like because the flipper tab is angled down and away, like if you happen to reach in that far, you're just going to touch the top of it, and you're not going to have very many issues. And like I've said pretty much in every video or full review video that I film, it sits when I carry knives, excuse me, it sits in the pocket and my phone goes right here, so I'm never like digging down in for change. If I happen to carry change or anything small like a chapstick, something like that, it'll go in my left hand pocket or in my like coin pocket. So I'm never down in there. I never have any issues with like catching on the flipper tab. But it is kind of a coarse jimping. I just lost a train of thought. It is kind of coarse jimping, so like if you did happen to catch your finger, it wouldn't, I don't think it would tear it, but you would definitely feel it on there. So carry, again, similar to Ergo's, kind of a mixed bag. Definitely some good things, but definitely some things that I wasn't a huge fan of. So that leads me to my final category of price point and what I recommend this knife. So before I got this knife in, I didn't know how much it was worth. And I think even when I did my unboxing video, I didn't know what the price tag was on it. So I looked it up and I found the number, and I just looked it up before we did this video again just to reinforce that the number in my head that I was thinking of was correct, and it was. They're asking $140 for this knife. To me, that is a little too high, especially in today's age of getting really good materials for like as we get deeper into in more evolved in knife making, and more brands are coming out with stuff. As the farther we get into the future, you get a better knife for less money, and I feel like it's just going to continue that way. Maybe someday we'll be paying $50 for a titanium and M390 knife or something like that, off the wall crazy. So I do feel like $140 is a little steep for this knife. And I don't have anything against 154 CM. It's a very usable steel. It's has a lot of solid attributes for it. But I feel like at this price point, you could get something a little bit better, even like S35VN, or you're even pushing maybe like M390 or 20CV territory there. In some situations like the let's reach for it, like this, the Asher Knife Co. Thai Nomad frame lock. This is full titanium with M390, and Justin over at Asher Knife Co. sells it for $90 or $95. To me, I would much rather have this than this because of, for one, the materials are a lot. I mean, you're getting titanium versus aluminum and M390 versus 154 CM. So I feel like the price tag definitely could have been maybe under $100 or right at the $100 price point. That's what I feel like it would be more comfortable at, but I don't really get the price tag. You know, it is a nice knife at the end of the day. The action's good. It is comfortable in hand. You just have to watch out for, you know, the slickness of the aluminum. I'm not a huge fan of the pocket clip. Some people might, but I don't know. Would I recommend this knife? Probably not necessarily. Like, I'm glad I got to check it out, and I'm glad I got to review it and stuff like that, but I probably wouldn't, you know, go up to someone and say, hey, you should go buy the Steel Will Spica or Spica. It's just, I don't know. Like, the action is good, I will say that. The biggest win that this knife did for me, and the biggest, you know, kind of cool factor is the, you know, the snappiness of the flipper tab and the action. Just the way that flipper tab is angled forward. I don't think I've ever felt a knife before, or experienced a knife before that kind of did that, and it just makes for a very, very responsive and a very satisfying, you know, snap open. And like I said, the closing action, while not drop shut, it definitely got smooth over the course of me flicking with it and carrying it a few times. So that's very satisfying too, to kind of, you know, just kind of shake it down. So it, like I said, the easiest way for me to say it is it's just a mixed bag of good and bad. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's worth the $140. I think this knife would definitely be better suited around $100, maybe even under. But, you know, that's just my opinion. Someone else might think this is worth it, or even worth a little bit more than $140. So, but yeah, like I said, I am glad I got to check it out, and I'm glad I was able to review it and give my opinion to you guys about it. So we're gonna wrap it up here. This was the full review of the Steel Will Spica. I know I've said both Spica and Spica throughout the video, but I truly don't know how to pronounce it. But in my head, S-P-I-C-A, because P-I-C-A is Pica, so it would be Spica. But yeah, so yeah, thank you guys so much for, you know, listening to me ramble, rave, rant, stumble for even parts of the video. I know I'm not the easiest person to listen to, but I hope, you know, I entertain you guys, and I hope you're able to get a good idea of my impersonation and my thoughts are on the knife. So yeah, if you guys are not yet subscribed and not yet, you know, liking the videos, please consider doing so. I'm on my way to 600 subs, and I really would like to get there soon. So if you like what you see, please consider clicking subscribe. I try to make new videos every week for you guys, and I definitely have some cool knives coming in the future. I just unboxed, right before I made this video, the new Kaiser T1 exclusive of Mojave Outdoor, and this thing is an awesome knife. I would much rather spend $80 on this than $140 on this. So, but to each their own. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to quit rambling now, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.